Risen's Winter Champions League is well underway, just completing its fourth round of matches, placing EG Prodigies and Barrage NA into the playoffs with their perfect 4-0 records after 4 rounds of play. However, some of the most interesting and shocking results actually came in the third round of play, when Mirage took down Anu's main roster and Wildcard Gaming took down SolaFide. This win put Wildcard one win away from playoff qualification, and with their loss last night, their playoff lives are on the line against Anu Esports' main roster. With all of that being said, I wanted to take a deeper look at their series against SolaFide and uncover how this David vs. Goliath story actually happened. What I saw during the game was that Wildcard didn't use any gimmicks or flashy outplays to best SolaFide. Instead, they used sound map movement, fundamental understandings of macro, and a level of confidence that is rarely seen from purely amateur teams when facing extremely high-level opponents. Let's dive into these games themselves. Game 1 starts with a late invade on the bottom side of the map for Wildcard. While there was a ward placed by SolaFide to spot this, it actually barely misses the 3-man squad of Wildcard. This delay in knowledge ends up sending Winston behind in pace against the Olaf, which manifests itself into the game a few minutes down the road. For now, the map is vertically split between the two teams. Wildcard gets to have priority over the bottom lane and Dragon, while SolaFide gets to ensure that their kill will not be punished by Olaf in the early stages of the game. Both junglers have now finished their first full clear. When the map is vertically split, this means that you can typically re-invade the enemy side of the map that you initially invaded and farm their second rotation of camps to set the enemy jungler even further behind. What you'll notice is that Winston spends a lot of time idling near the enemy Gromp, around 20 seconds in total. This is because Winston waited until after his own Krugs to invade Olaf's blue side, meaning the camp spawned later, and he finds himself at both a tempo and CS disadvantage compared to Jungle is Weak. This tempo disadvantage comes to the forefront when Jungle is Weak uses his tempo to gank bottom lane and force an advantageous fight for Wildcard. Quacker has just hit level 6, unlocking Stand United and ensuring an easy cleanup onto the flashless Winston. This nets Wildcard first Dragon and sets the pace for the rest of the early game. Once Rift Herald spawns, Wildcard shoves in the bottom lane, sends Team Luke and Daption up towards Herald, and Cracker resets to go bottom with Stand United. Daption moves mid to ensure that Xeno can get priority over the mid wave, and while that's happening, Team Luke starts up the Rift Herald while Jungle is Weak makes his way over from the bottom side. Typically, the counterplay to this sort of a play would be to either get plates onto Apollo bottom lane or to contest the Rift Herald. However, neither option is really possible, so Wildcard ends up getting the Rift Herald for free and uses it to slowly crack open this game with an extensive gold lead. After securing this Rift Herald, Wildcard moves up to the top lane to zone Dokla off of the minion wave that is crashing into his turret. After denying nearly every minion from him, they place down the Herald and secure the turret, ballooning their gold lead to 1.5k. They then reset and head towards the Dragon. Fast forwarding through a relatively stale mid-game, Wildcard finds themselves up 1.5 thousand gold still, but now up 3 dragons to 0. This is largely because SolaFide opted to get gold onto their Kayle instead of contesting Dragon. However, poor preparation from SolaFide for the final Dragon leads to Wildcard securing the Infernal Soul for free. Shortly after securing Infernal Soul, Wildcard goes on the offensive, engaging onto Dokla, Zeyzal, and Winston in the mid lane. Daption leads the charge with a beautiful flash engage onto Apollo, followed up by Team Luke and Xeno destroying SolaFide's backline. Dokla is fully zoned off from the fight and is unable to deal damage, leading to a decisive victory for Wildcard. Off the back of this near-perfect fight, they secure Baron and extend their gold lead to nearly 5,000. After taking 2 turrets in the mid lane, Wildcard moves over to set up vision in the bottom side of the jungle and prepares for a siege onto SolaFide's bottom lane tier 2 tower. Apollo and Tuesday position too far forward and are punished by a perfectly timed Hex Flash by Daption, combined with the flank from Jungle is Weak on Olaf. These 2 kills allow for Wildcard to crack open the base and reach a 7.5k gold lead, as well as burn Victor's Flash right before Elder is set to spawn. Wildcard resets after cracking open the base and has their eyes set towards setting up Elder Dragon. Shortly before the Elder Dragon makes its way onto the map, Dokla and Winston make a play onto an overextended Quacker towards bottom lane. However, Xeno is able to channel his teleport in, and with help from Jungler's Weak and later Daption, he is able to turn the play in favor of Wildcard despite the poor start. The pick onto Winston opens up for Wildcard to claim the Elder Dragon, which all but seals the first game of this series. At this point, Wildcard simply has to claim their uncontested Baron buff and prepare the final siege onto SolaFide's base. The key thing to note in this fight is that Apollo was actually nowhere near the opening of this fight and was unable to help his team secure the teamfight victory. Wildcard secures Baron buff and claims an uncontested top lane inhibitor. Once that is done, they move as a unit towards the mid lane, giving SolaFide no opportunity to pick them off one by one. The Infernal Soul combined with the Baron buffed up super minions proved too much for SolaFide to overcome, and Wildcard secures a clean Game 1 victory in a game that was never even particularly close. Game 2 followed in a very similar fashion to Game 1, with Wildcard pulling off a concise and relatively clean 2-0 over the most hyped team in Amateur coming into this split. The most exciting part about this series for me is that Wildcard didn't win in any way that can be dismissed or ignored by SolaFide fans. There was no level 1 multi-kill that ended this game. This was simply Wildcard being the better team and outplaying SolaFide through both individual prowess and solid macro decisions throughout the game. Wildcard unfortunately lost their 4th round match last night, meaning that they have to fight for their tournament lives against the new esports' main roster tonight, one of the most hyped teams coming into Amateur this split. Any fan of Amateur should be tuning into this game, no doubt, as the playoff implications combined with Wildcard's recent performance against teams like SolaFide makes this one of the most exciting series that has been streamed so far. I hope you all enjoyed the analysis of this video. I wish I could have analyzed Game 2, but some certain time constraints came up that made it impossible for me to do that. I'm happy to create content like this if this is well received, and thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you there tonight when I am watching a news main roster and Wildcard duke it out to see who can finally squeak into the semifinals of Risen. Thank you all.